What's going on, guys? Mega Gig back with another video. Today we are taking a look at the Legacy of Nightmares Barber build for the Witch Doctor. We are on the live servers. This is not a beta version or whatever. This is the live version, what's live right now. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I finally got all my gear. It's not all perfect. All the stats aren't perfect and everything, but we do have the gear to run the build. This build, much like the one, Barbarian build that I went over, it does absolutely require the Legacy of Nightmares set. That's what the whole set revolves around. And of course they are the 2 rings, the Litany of the Undaunted and the Wailing Host, and the 2 set bonus. While this is your only item set bonus, every ancient item equipped increases your damage by 100% and reduces your damage by 4%. So you're boosting your damage by an insane amount. Then you're also boosting your toughness by a decent amount too. So it's a total of 1,300% of a damage boost, which is really nice. And real quick, because I usually forget, we'll go ahead and go over the gems. You're going to want the Bane of the Trapped, Bane of the Stricken. Those 2 are pretty much a given. Esoteric is what I'm using for toughness, because it is somewhat of a squishy build. A lot of people use Enforcer. If you're tough enough, use Enforcer, because we are using a Belt of Transcendence, so that'll buff up your Sycophants, and I don't think it actually buffs your Phantasm too, but it may. I'm not 100% on that. I tried looking it up and I couldn't find anything. But it does buff up your fetishes, so it helps. And your fetishes are nice too, because it keeps things distracted from hitting you. So keep that in mind. Moving on, you're going to need the Sacred Harvester. This allows Soul Harvest to stack up to 10 times. If you're tough enough and you're not taking a whole lot of damage, you can swap out for Vu's Juicer, and this will buff up Spirit Barrage a little more. Spirit Barrage gains the effects of the Phlebotomize and the Spirit is Willing runes, and we are using Phlebotomize now, and then the Spirit of Willing rune, it adds gain 12 mana each time Spirit Barrage hits. And this is a fairly heavy mana spending build, so that is kind of nice. And then we're also gaining the Phantasm rune, as you can see there, from our offhand. Spirit Barrage gains the Phantasm rune. Each active Phantasm increases the damage of Spirit Barrage by 46%, and that is called the Gazing Demise. And so if you have 3 of them going, that's increasing each damage, or the damage by Spirit Barrage, by 46% for each one. You don't have to separate click them. You can just keep casting, and then you can see there's 3 in there. I'm just holding down the button, and there's automatically, it just puts down 1 right after another. So keep that in mind too, although you will be moving around a lot, so to get your damage stacking, it is kind of beneficial to cast 1 and move a little bit, and cast a little bit at a time before you can finally get in there and just keep channeling. But you can only have a maximum of 3 up. Once you start having more, you'll see the last one drops off. For your boots, you're more than likely going to want the Illusory Boots. You can move unhindered through units. This comes in super handy. For the pants, you're more than likely going to want the Swampland Waders. And the main reason for this is because these, we're not using Sacrifice, but these pants, I think, are the only pair that can actually roll an elemental damage. You can see I have cold skills on mine. Unfortunately, I had to re-roll that, and so I've got Plague of Toads damage on there, which doesn't really help out a lot. But like I said, the armor is not, the gear is not perfect, but it is what it is for now. It's really hard to find all this stuff perfect. It's just going to take a lot of time. And a lot of people run these on the Barbarian too. I didn't have these when I did my Barbarian build, but these are good on the Barbarian too because of that elemental damage. And Belt of Transcendence, again, is what we're running for our belt. Summon a fetish every time you hit with a mana spender. We're going to be hitting with Spirit Barrage all the time, so we're going to get up to 15 fetishes is the maximum you can have, at least from this passive. It's important to note this does stack also. with this. You can't summon 2 sets. If you have this active and the belt on, it will all count towards the same stack of 15. For your bracers, you're going to want the Lacumba's Ornament, and these reduce all damage taken by 6% for each stack of Soul Harvest that you have, for a total of 60% because it's stacked up to 10 times. It's 30% if you're using the juicer. And then more than likely, if you're doing the cold version of this build, which is what we are doing, you're going to want Frostburn. This is because cold skills deal 15% increased damage and have a 50% chance to freeze enemies. That's huge. It's too bad we can't use a Crisbin Sentence, because that would just make this build out of this world OP. And for the chest, you're going to want the Aquila Cuirass. This is going to, while above a certain percent, try and get 90 if you can, but really try to get below 95. While above a certain percent of primary resource, all damage taken is cut in half, reduced by 50%, which is really nice. For the shoulders, these you can kind of swap out for a few things. This is the only pair of Ancients I have, and they aren't a bad set of shoulders, although the Skeleton King's pauldrons are a little more... more people use these just because it's more of a chance to cheat death, which does come in handy. If you get an ancient version of these, go for it. I don't have the resources to keep re-rolling these for ancients, but I do have these on hand, so this is what we're using. These also go really good on a barbarian because you're melee and you're in melee range, so keep that in mind as well. For our amulet, we are using a Hellfire amulet. You can also use an Eye of the Itlich, I think it's called, to reduce melee or range damage. But this is the one we are using. Unfortunately, the best passive, and I went through tons of Hellfire amulets, best passive I was able to get was gain the Spiritual Attunement passive, which isn't bad. It increases your maximum mana by 10%, and you regenerate 2% of your maximum mana. And this is a very heavy mana build. You can see we're also using Rush of Essence, and really that's still pretty nice because it keeps our resources mostly topped off and keeps our Cuirass active. So Hellfire Amulet, depending on what passives you choose. If you choose exactly what I'm running, then Hellfire Amulet, depending on what extra passive you want. And for the helmet, or the Voodoo Mask, I guess, we are using the Mask of Jerem to increase our pet's damage by 83%. This is mainly because of the fetishes, and yeah, that's what I have as an ancient. And we've got all Vitality gems in there. You can also run diamonds. I think the consensus on this build overall is that Vitality gems are the best to run, but diamonds are a close second. Some people even run strength gems to boost your armor and toughness that way. But with all these Vitality gems in here, we're up to almost 1.8 million health, which is really nice. So yeah, keep that in mind. That is the gear. Go over the cube. We've got a Barber in here. Of course, this is going to be essential. Instead of dealing direct damage, your Spirit Barrage now accumulates on the target. When you stop casting, it explodes, dealing 250% of the damage, of the accumulated damage, to all enemies within 15 yards. Again, much like the Legacy of Nightmares set, the whole build kind of revolves around this. And then we have Mantle of Channeling. I'm not sure why I have this here, because this doesn't actually do Spirit Barrage. I actually didn't mean to have that selected. No, you don't want Mantle of Channeling. Where is it? Here you go. You want Grim Reaper. The Grin Reaper. Chance when attacking to summon horrific mimics that, man, I cannot talk. Horrific mimics that cast some of your equipped skills. Oh my gosh. Anyways, you guys can read it because I can't read apparently. So yeah, you're going to want the Grin Reaper. This is going to increase your damage by a lot. And then you're also going to want a Ring of Emptiness. You deal 300% increased damage to enemies affected by both your Haunt and Locust Swarm. And of course we've got Locust Swarm here and Haunt here. Now for the skills, you're going to want to use Haunt. I've got it on my primary button. 2 different runes you can really use here. Poison Spirit, of course, is going to make you do more damage. If you're wanting to affect more enemies faster, you can use Resentful Spirits to cast 2 spirits at a time. And then Spirit Barrage, again with because we're using the Soul Harvest, or because we're using the Sacred Harvester and not Vu's Juicer, we are going with the Phlebotomize rune. Gain almost 6,500 life each time Spirit Barrage hits. And with Spirit Walk, we're using Jaunt. Again, you can also use Severance. You can also use Healing Journey if you want to heal up. I just prefer Jaunt to stay in Spirit Walk longer. And then Locust Swarm. This rune is also kind of up in the air. I'm using Pestilence. I've tried a couple of different runes, and you can also use Cloud of Insects. Enemies affected deal 25% reduced damage. This is really nice. But because we want to affect enemies by our Ring of Emptiness faster, because we're casting Haunt and Pestilence, and Locust Swarm, we're going with Pestilence. And where are we here? Piranha's Piranado. That one's self-explanatory, bunching up enemies. Soul Harvest Languish for the toughness. And then for the passives, we are using Grave Injustice, Creeping Death, Spirit Vessel, cheat death, of course, and Rush of Essence. You can swap out Creeping Death for a couple of different things if you really like. You can do Swampland Attunement for more toughness. You can do Gruesome Feast for buffing yourself up through health globes. And again, if you want more toughness, you can use Bad Medicine too, because that goes nice with Locust Swarm. Our follower is, of course, using her focus where she can't die. She is able to... no, she's not able to stun enemies. She should be able to stun enemies. Where is it? I must have put the ring somewhere else. That's all right. We're using the Essa Johann on her, and then an Oculus ring. Let me really fast see if I've got that ring just sitting around. I think it's on a different character. Nope, there it is. All right. We're going to put a Wayward on here because we aren't using the Unity. So this gives her the ability to stun, 25% chance to stun. It can roll up to 35% because she's using a Wind Seeker. So just a little more chance to stun, and then those are the skills we're using there. And that is the build, guys. We've gone over the gear. We didn't go over the Paragon Points, I guess. You're going to want movement speed and maximum mana. Again, this is a pretty heavy, mana-heavy build, so go ahead and top off maximum mana and movement speed. Dump everything else into intelligence. Here you're going to want critical hit chance, damage, cooldown reduction, and attack speed. And then resist all, life, armor, and life regeneration, life per hit, area damage, resource cost reduction, and gold find. Alright, we're going to just do a 75 here because, well, I don't know, we could do a 79, I guess. That's the top one that I've done. It was kind of tough. Again, my gear isn't very optimized, but we'll hop in here and hope for the best. You want to get your stacks as fast as you can, and then you can see everything just starts blowing up. Cast 1 or 2 haunts, and then go ahead and cast everything. And remember your mimics from the cube, they are also doing a lot of damage. They cast just various skills, and you can see we just kind of blow up enemies. I will say one thing about this build is it's not the greatest on single target damage. So you need to get to the Rift Guardian fairly quick because it does take a little while to kill him. Keep bunching up enemies and casting your Locust Swarm. And you can see everything just kind of blows up from there. There is an elite over here. And then we'll just kind of cast a lot of this on him for a while, and then we'll go into Spirit Walk. Every time it starts to freeze, we'll go into Spirit Walk, and then there will be an explosion as well. Now remember, our Spirit Barrage is not doing direct damage. It's stacking up and then exploding when we let off. And we'll grab that shrine there right after we kill this group of stuff. And of course we're just going to waste this guy because we've got that shrine, which is really nice. Make sure there's no elite pack up here. I didn't think there was. I miss the days, I was just going to say, I miss the days when this floor had 2 elite packs. And then there's 2 elite packs right there. Let's get our haunt on all of them. Go ahead and cast Locust Swarm one more time. Make sure you're standing in your Oculus ring as often as you can. Take out the gold first because he is the toughest. He's getting pretty low, and these guys are dying on their own anyways, it seems like. Remember, especially on elites, you want to get both your Haunt and your Locust Swarm on them because that's going to increase your damage by 300% because of your Ring of Emptiness. When it comes to trash packs, you do plenty of damage. You don't really need to worry about getting Haunt on all of them. I usually just cast it once or twice and get a couple Haunts just kind of out there in the world. You can run around like this and cast Haunt 4 or 5 times before you really start putting it to them. And these guys aren't bunching up real close. This build does kind of rely on good density because it is an AoE build, and this floor hasn't been the greatest. The first part of it was really nice. This is normally a good floor. Yeah, here's some good density. Hopefully we can find some good elite packs as well. There's one. Let's get a couple of haunts going. Get a haunt on the main guy. Oh, there's 2 elite packs there. Alright. And every time I go into Spirit Walk, I like to go ahead and refresh all of my debuffs if I can. My Locust Swarm and Haunt and all that stuff. Because it's kind of hard to stop casting and refresh those things any other time. And yeah, both of them died. I thought they did. A couple more progression orbs in there. Get a couple of haunts out there. And go ahead and take care of these guys. And there's a nice power shrine, which will be nice on the Rift Guardian. So I think we're going to save it, because our single target damage, when it's only one thing, we don't benefit from the explosion damage really. It does still do the 250% bonus when it explodes off, but it's not exploding on multiple targets, so it's not giving us an extra AoE boost. There we go. Yeah, we're going to remember where that shrine is. Hopefully we can finish this rift on this floor. And we're going to go ahead and cast that so we can get Haunt on all these things. And then we'll just go to town. Where is the last one? I've lost him. There he is. Oh, a channeling shrine. Nice. This last floor was really nice. Once we blow these guys up, that should get us to the Rift Guardian. Then we'll run back and get that power shrine. So we've still got 5 minutes to go. He should follow us, or she, yeah. Go ahead and get Haunt on there. She'll follow us up here too. Should, anyways. Maybe not. You can see our stack of our Soul Harvest stacks are down to 1 now, though. You can see our stack of fetishes up there. Go ahead and go in and refresh everything. Stand on here. And you can see we're still chunking her, even though we're constantly casting. That's from our phantasms that are spinning around. Whenever they disappear, their stacked up damage goes off. So you still kind of chunk her just with those constantly casting. Whenever you get rid of, whenever you have 3 of them down and then you cast another and the 4th one disappears, or I guess the first one rather, its damage goes off, I believe. So that's how we're constantly chunking her. And then you can see when we actually quit casting, a bigger chunk goes off because we've been channeling ours longer than the phantasm's going. And that will finish her off, I think. Pop, there we go, yep. So, not too bad on a 79. We'd probably do an 80 or 881. Yeah, it's a strong build once you get all the gear. If I wasn't using esoteric and I was using an enforcer, I think enforcer may strengthen your mimics too. I think I didn't say that earlier. So yeah, if you can definitely use the enforcer, but you are considerably squishier, even with 1.8 million health. You really need to pay a lot more attention. It just depends on what you want to do. If you want to be tankier or do more damage. But that is the Legacy of Nightmares build guide for the Witch Doctor. This build is a lot of fun. Super hard to gear for, like a lot of the Legacy of Nightmares build. But if you guys get the chance and get the gear, you should try it out because it is a lot of fun and it is very strong. And I think it may actually be the strongest Witch Doctor build right now. I mean, I guess we can check the leaderboards here to see what the top. Click the wrong thing. View hero details. Yeah, he's using a Legacy of Nightmare. And if you have a barber, use the barber here. If you have a really good barber, use the barber here and use Sacred Harvester in the cube because the barber does have a quicker attack speed. So other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks, guys, for watching and more good stuff to come. Take care.